You have the option to live a life of comfort and ease, or you can choose a path filled with service and thrilling adventures. When you look back at your life at the age of 90, which of these two paths will fill you with the most pride and satisfaction? Before we get into the specifics of our story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It truly supports the growth of this community. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez were expected to be enjoying a luxurious fairy tale life, basking on the beautiful beaches of Maui and wandering through the elegant marble hallways of a grand Beverly Hills mansion.
Only a few weeks ago, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez stood beneath the warm Hawaiian sun, exchanging their wedding vows in front of an exclusive guest list that seemed like it was taken straight from the world's most prestigious and elite directory. The event was nothing short of glamorous, filled with power and influence, a relationship that the tabloids simply couldn't ignore. But as is often the case, fairy tales rarely survive the journey back to reality. According to trusted insiders close to the couple, their honeymoon phase has suddenly ended in a dramatic and intense way. So, what caused this abrupt change? It wasn't a shocking scandal or an unexpected breakup, but something just as serious and significant.
In a world where wealth is directly linked to power, control over money becomes crucial. One major point of tension arose when Jeff Bezos decided to drastically cut Lauren Sanchez's personal spending budget. Lauren's lavish lifestyle had long been the subject of envy and media attention. She was a familiar face at the designer boutiques on Rodeo Drive, often recognized by name. High-end fashion houses even gifted her exclusive pieces before they were officially showcased on the runway. For her, private jets and luxury yachts weren't occasional indulgences. They were simply part of her everyday life. But according to insiders close to the couple, Bezos felt it was necessary to set clear financial boundaries after hearing growing concerns about her extravagant spending and the negative public perception it was creating.
What happened next completely changed the atmosphere of their sprawling, art-filled Beverly Hills mansion, turning it into the backdrop of a private conflict that the staff members are still hesitant to discuss openly. Witnesses have reported hearing raised voices, the sound of doors slamming, and even seeing an envelope containing a formal financial notice handed directly to Lauren. In the days that followed, the story quickly spread through elite social circles, from Malibu to Manhattan. Is this merely a private disagreement that's being exaggerated by outsiders? Or could it be the very first visible crack in a marriage that has barely celebrated its wedding champagne toast? One thing is absolutely clear. When love, ego, and billions of dollars collide, the fallout is rarely quiet and never insignificant. If the insiders are telling the truth, this disagreement goes far beyond just money. It's really about control, maintaining a certain image, and the future direction of Jeff Bezos' second marriage. The story began with a flawless wedding. Just a few weeks ago, the entire world watched as Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez seemed to step into what looked like the perfect billionaire romance. Their wedding in Maui wasn't just a ceremony, it was an extravagant spectacle. Picture a private, secluded beachside estate where waves crash against jagged black volcanic rocks, while a string quartet plays softly in the background. Around them, Hollywood stars, tech industry giants, and political insiders mingled, sipping champagne beneath shimmering fairy lights that lit up the night sky. Every single moment of the event was carefully crafted to feel timeless, with each photograph destined for the glossy pages of high-end magazines and sparking envy across social media platforms worldwide. Lauren gracefully walked down the aisle in a couture gown that reportedly cost more than many people's entire homes. Her long train elegantly trailed over an aisle lavishly decorated with exotic orchids imported all the way from Thailand. Jeff, looking sharp in a custom-tailored tuxedo, appeared like a man who had not only conquered the business world, but was now triumphantly winning in love as well. The guest list itself was nothing short of spectacular, resembling a gathering that could easily fill a Fortune 500 boardroom. Among the attendees were famous names such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, and even several members of European royal families.
The entire day was meticulously planned to send a clear message to the world. This was a power couple standing at the very peak of their influence and success. In the days that followed the wedding, the media eagerly devoured every photo and detail. Lauren was captured laughing joyfully under the warm Mediterranean sun aboard Bezos's $500 million super yacht. She looked absolutely radiant, the undeniable queen of this exciting new chapter in Jeff Bezos's life. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as though nothing could break through the golden glow that enveloped them. Bezos went to great length to indulge her every whim, from extravagant designer shopping sprees to spontaneous luxury vacations, each one more opulent than the last.
Yet, beneath the smiling faces and public displays of affection, subtle murmurs began to emerge, small, almost imperceptible to outsiders. Close friends and insiders speculated that Bezos, always the careful strategist, was quietly reconsidering what this new chapter with Lauren would mean for his carefully curated public image and personal limits. Lauren's craving for the spotlight was unmistakable. With every event they attended and every public appearance she made, she seemed to draw more attention to herself, gradually pulling away from the quieter, more controlled lifestyle that Bezos had long preferred.
The wedding in Maui was meant to be a powerful declaration of unity between Jeff and Lauren. However, looking back, it might have actually been the opening scene in a much more complicated drama. One where money, power, and image would soon collide in unexpected and challenging ways. Everyone in their close circle agreed on one thing. Lauren Sanchez truly knew how to live life to its fullest. In the months before the wedding, and continuing well into the weeks afterward, her schedule was packed with extravagant indulgences. Her days were filled with morning fittings at Chanel on Rodeo Drive, among other lavish appointments that highlighted her passion for luxury and style.
The Beverly Hills Hotel became her go-to destination for luxurious afternoon spa treatments, providing a perfect retreat from her hectic schedule. Evenings were just as extravagant, as she moved effortlessly from glamorous charity galas to exclusive after-parties that stretched well beyond midnight. Lauren's fashion sense was bold and unforgettable, and her presence always commanded attention wherever she went. Whether she was adorned in head-to-toe balmain or stepping off a private jet in a stunning ensemble, she made sure all eyes were on her. Whether stepping off a private jet in a perfectly styled casual outfit worth more than most families' cars, Lauren was clearly determined to turn every moment into a headline-making event. With the vast resources at her disposal, achieving this level of attention and glamour came effortlessly to her. With Jeff Bezos' immense wealth backing her, even the wildest dreams could be turned into reality within hours. One particularly hectic week was spent in Paris, supposedly to attend a friend's art exhibition, but it culminated in a champagne-fueled shopping spree along the famous Avenue Montaigne. Another spontaneous getaway took her to Saint-Tropez, complete with a chartered mega yacht for a small group of close friends and a photographer discreetly capturing moments from the deck. To the public, it all seemed like an aspirational lifestyle, one that people eagerly double-tapped and admired on Instagram. Behind closed doors, however, some of Bezos' friends and advisors were beginning to feel uneasy about the extravagance and its implications.
The headlines started to shift in tone. Rather than focusing mainly on Jeff Bezos' business ventures and achievements, gossip magazines began to paint Lauren as the billionaire bride with an insatiable appetite for luxury. For Bezos, whose carefully crafted public image had been protected for years, this growing media attention was becoming more of a liability than an asset. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about how the public perceived the situation. While a few lavish gifts and exotic vacations might be seen as signs of wedded bliss, the continuous display of extravagance, especially when amplified by the media, risked making their marriage look more like a vanity project than a genuine partnership.
According to sources close to Jeff Bezos, This marked the start of a quiet but deliberate recalibration within their relationship. Spending limits were adjusted, access to certain financial accounts was carefully reorganized, and invitations to some of the most exclusive, high-profile events were politely declined. At first, none of these changes were drastic enough to attract the public's attention. However, for Lauren, whose life had always been a whirlwind of nonstop luxury and indulgence, the shift was impossible to ignore. Everything was building toward a dramatic climax, culminating on one of the most unforgettable nights ever witnessed at the Bezos estate. The night when everything took a turn. What was supposed to be just another dazzling evening quickly became something much more significant. Earlier that night, Jeff and Lauren were spotted dining at an upscale Malibu restaurant, surrounded by a blend of Hollywood celebrities and influential Silicon Valley power brokers. Despite the glamorous setting, many attendees reported a noticeably tense atmosphere around the table. Lauren appeared far less engaged and lively than usual. Though she smiled graciously for the cameras outside, insiders reveal that cracks in their relationship were already starting to show beneath the surface. When Jeff and Lauren returned to their lavish Beverly Hills estate, a vast property featuring gleaming marble floors, gold-trimmed sitting rooms, and breathtaking panoramic views of the city, the smiles they had worn earlier were nowhere to be seen. The couple were treated to one of the mansion's most opulent rooms, a grand salon with soaring windows, plush velvet sofas, and an exquisite imported Italian chandelier casting a soft glow. According to an eyewitness, it was in this very room that Lauren finally confronted Jeff about the sudden restrictions on her spending privileges. What began as a quiet discussion quickly escalated into a tense argument. Still dressed in a shimmering silk gown illuminated by the chandelier's light, Lauren demanded answers, expressing her frustration over being publicly embarrassed in front of friends when certain transactions were unexpectedly blocked.
News fast tone. Lauren accused Jeff Bezos of undermining her, making her seem insignificant in social circles where image and status are everything. Bezos, who several witnesses described as calm yet visibly agitated, reportedly told her she needed to accept and respect certain boundaries. He spoke with the measured authority of a boardroom executive, but his message was unmistakably clear. The era of unlimited spending was over. Then came what many onlookers call the tipping point of the confrontation. He handed her an envelope. According to insider reports, the envelope contained a formal written notice outlining a significant reduction and restructuring of her personal spending budget. By the end of that tense night, the confrontation had reached an impasse. Jeff Bezos retreated to his private study, a sanctuary filled with rare books and cherished personal mementos, while Lauren locked herself away in one of the mansion's lavish guest rooms. What began as a relatively small disagreement over finances had rapidly spiraled into the couple's first very public and deeply personal battle. The fallout, many believed, was about to ripple far beyond the walls of their Beverly Hills estate. When it comes to billionaire relationships, the psychology of money control takes on a whole new level. Money can either heal or harm a marriage, bringing partners together or driving them apart. But when billions are involved, its significance and impact becomes far more complex and profound. Money, in this context, became much more than just currency. It was a powerful symbol of control, status, and influence. For Lauren Sanchez, however, the sudden restriction of her spending limits wasn't seen as a practical financial adjustment, but rather as a loss of her personal freedom and autonomy. Friends close to Lauren say she has always taken great pride in her independence, even while living amidst immense wealth. She built her own successful media career, carved out a respected place in Los Angeles' elite social scene, and managed her high-profile relationships on her own terms. To those who know her well, the envelope from Bezos represented far more than a mere budget change. It was a clear message that from now on, her life would be governed by his rules. However, in relationships of this nature, perception frequently outweighs the actual facts. Once rumors about control began to circulate, the conversation shifted away from mere financial figures and moved into the realm of emotions and personal freedom. Lauren's frustration wasn't just about the money itself, it was about the powerful message the situation sent to the world and to her own circle of friends, that she was no longer free to live her life on her own terms. This private conflict has also ignited a broader discussion within elite social circles about how power is shared and balanced in billionaire marriages.
Is financial control a legitimate form of protection in a relationship? Or is it simply an exercise of dominance disguised as responsible management? When it comes to Lauren and Jeff's situation, the answer often depends entirely on who you ask. What's clear is that this dispute struck a deep chord, not just between the couple themselves, but also throughout the media frenzy and the ripple effects that followed. The story quickly took on a life of its own within the media world, with entertainment journalists, business reporters, and social media influencers all weighing in and adding their own perspectives to the unfolding drama. Major media outlets have deployed their most experienced reporters to closely follow every new development in the story, while tabloid photographers have practically taken up semi-permanent stations outside the couple's multiple residences, hoping to snap candid shots that might offer a glimpse into the real state of their relationship. This relentless scrutiny has only added to the pressure on both Jeff and Lauren, who now find it nearly impossible to make even the simplest public appearances without their every move, gesture, and expression being dissected and analyzed. Fashion magazines pore over Lauren's wardrobe choices, searching for hidden messages or symbolic meanings, while business publications carefully scrutinize Jeff's public comments, looking for any signs of personal struggles that could potentially impact his various business ventures. Social media has dramatically intensified the speculations surrounding the couple. Instagram accounts devoted solely to tracking their every move have amassed hundreds of thousands of followers, while Twitter threads dissecting their body language and public interactions frequently go viral. The hashtag Bezosgate has become a trending sensation, with users crafting memes, conspiracy theories, and endless debates about the true state of their marriage. This overwhelming media attention has also brought real, practical challenges to their daily lives. Even simple activities like dining out or attending social gatherings now demand meticulous security measures and careful media management to maintain privacy and control. Staff insiders reveal that the couple has been forced to cancel or significantly modify many social events because of worries over how they'll be perceived publicly and the potential media fallout. The financial intricacies behind the Bezos-Sanchez marriage drama go far beyond a typical relationship disagreement. This conflict involves an extraordinary level of wealth, making it uniquely complex. Jeff Bezos' net worth, which rises and falls with Amazon's stock price, consistently ranks him among the richest people in the world. The stakes in their personal dispute are therefore intertwined with one of the largest private fortunes ever seen.
Jeff Bezos' vast portfolio includes not only his significant Amazon holdings, but also ventures like Blue Origin, expansive real estate valued at hundreds of millions, and an art collection worth tens of millions of dollars. The financial ecosystem that surrounds billionaire families functions under a completely different set of rules compared to typical money management. According to industry insiders, Lauren's spending habits likely crossed preset limits embedded within their financial agreements. These automatic controls are intentionally put in place to avoid the kind of public relations nightmares that arise when spending seems excessive or frivolous in the public eye.
The intricate legal agreements that govern their financial arrangements cover far more than just everyday expenses. They extend to major purchases, philanthropic contributions, gifts to friends and relatives, and even investments in personal ventures. These restrictions aren't random or emotionally driven. They're intentional, strategic mechanisms designed to serve as guardrails within an extremely complex and highly structured financial system. Now, at the center of growing speculation are those very financial boundaries. Reports suggest that Jeff Bezos has recently implemented tighter spending restrictions on his wife, Lauren Sanchez, a move that has reportedly sparked significant tension within their already high-profile and closely scrutinized marriage.
Although the imposed limits represent only a minuscule fraction of Jeff Bezos' vast fortune, financial experts emphasize that these restrictions are less about affordability and more about control, public image, and internal family dynamics. When you're operating at this level of extreme wealth, traditional ideas of budgeting simply don't apply, explains Dr. Sarah Chen, a renowned financial psychologist. The restrictions aren't about Jeff lacking the funds to support Lauren's spending. They're about setting boundaries and managing how the family's financial behavior is perceived by the outside world. The ripple effects have also extended into their elite social circles, causing disruption among their high-powered network.
The unfolding drama has sent shockwaves through the tightly knit web of elite social circles that stretch from Silicon Valley's tech titans to Hollywood's A-list and the deeply rooted wealth of East Coast legacy families. Prominent couples who were once close friends with both Jeff and Lauren have begun to quietly pull back, carefully distancing themselves from what many now view as an escalating public relations disaster waiting to explode. The social ecosystem surrounding billionaire relationships is both intricate and remarkably fragile. Memberships at ultra-exclusive clubs like Augusta National and Pebble Beach, seats on high-prestige charitable boards, and coveted invitations to intimate gatherings in places like Martha's Vineyard or Aspen have all become potential pressure points, where association with the wrong headline could spark uncomfortable scrutiny or reputational fallout.
Friends close to Jeff and Lauren describe a tense and delicate social landscape where every interaction is weighed for signs of loyalty or quiet dissent. In an effort to ease the strain, several high-profile couples have attempted to mediate by hosting low-key, invitation-only gatherings aimed at fostering reconciliation away from the media glare. However, these well-intentioned efforts have largely failed, with insiders reporting that the tension between Jeff and Lauren remains unmistakable, even in private settings designed for peace. Now, the stakes have escalated beyond personal fallout as the strain within their marriage begins to cast a shadow over Bezos' vast business empire, raising alarms about the potential impact on boardroom confidence, investor sentiment, and the broader perception of his leadership.
Amazon shareholders and board members are keeping a close watch on the situation, fully aware that personal turmoil in the life of a high-profile CEO like Jeff Bezos can have real consequences for market stability and investor confidence. Subtle fluctuations in Amazon stock have already caught the attention of analysts, some of whom suggest the shifts may be partially fueled by concerns over potential leadership distractions. Beyond the corporate sphere, the couple's joint philanthropic efforts, most notably the $10 billion Bezos Earth Fund aimed at combating climate change, are also under scrutiny, with growing questions about how ongoing marital tension might affect the fund's future direction, governance, and long-term credibility.
Charitable organizations that have received joint commitments from Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are quietly preparing contingency plans, anticipating possible changes in funding structures if the couple's relationship continues to deteriorate. Meanwhile, Blue Origin, Bezos' ambitious space exploration company, stands out as another major asset that could face complications in the event of a marital split. With critical partnerships involving NASA and other government agencies, the company relies heavily on leadership stability and a clear ownership structure. Any disruption, particularly from a high-profile divorce, could raise concerns about business continuity, governance, and the long-term strategic direction of the enterprise. In the event of a separation, untangling the couple's vast financial empire would be an extraordinarily complex undertaking. Investment portfolios, luxury real estate spread across multiple countries, and an art collection valued in the hundreds of millions would all need to be evaluated and divided. Legal experts suggest that even with extensive prenuptial agreements in place, the process could take years and require navigating a web of international jurisdictions and tax implications. Adding to the public intrigue, Lauren Sanchez's background has also come under renewed scrutiny. Before her relationship with Bezos, she built a successful media career as a reporter, anchor, and licensed helicopter pilot, establishing herself in Los Angeles' fiercely competitive broadcast industry long before becoming a fixture in elite social circles.
Lauren Sanchez's ambitious nature and striking on-screen presence opened doors beyond traditional media, granting her access to some of America's wealthiest and most powerful social circles, spaces in which she quickly proved skilled at navigating complex interpersonal and reputational dynamics. Her romantic history also placed her in influential environments. She shares a child with NFL legend Tony Gonzalez and was previously involved with Hollywood power agent Patrick Whitesell, both relationships rooted in worlds where luxury, status, and visibility were the norm. However, it was her high-profile connection with Jeff Bezos, initiated while he was still married to philanthropist and novelist Mackenzie Scott, that thrust her into the global spotlight, making her a subject of both fascination and relentless public scrutiny.
Publicly, and the potential media fallout. The financial intricacies behind the Bezos-Sanchez marriage drama go far beyond a typical relationship disagreement. This conflict involves an extraordinary level of wealth, making it uniquely complex. Jeff Bezos' net worth, which rises and falls with Amazon's stock price, consistently ranks him among the richest people in the world. The stakes in their personal dispute are therefore intertwined with one of the largest private fortunes ever seen.
Jeff Bezos' vast portfolio includes not only his significant Amazon holdings, but also ventures like Blue Origin, expansive real estate valued at hundreds of millions, and an art collection worth tens of millions of dollars. The financial ecosystem that surrounds billionaire families functions under a completely different set of rules compared to typical money management. According to industry insiders, Lauren's spending habits likely crossed preset limits embedded within their financial agreements. These automatic controls are intentionally put in place to avoid the kind of public relations nightmares that arise when spending seems excessive or frivolous in the public eye.
The intricate legal agreements that govern their financial arrangements cover far more than just everyday expenses. They extend to major purchases, philanthropic contributions, gifts to friends and relatives, and even investments in personal ventures. These restrictions aren't random or emotionally driven. They're intentional, strategic mechanisms designed to serve as guardrails within an extremely complex and highly structured financial system. Now, at the center of growing speculation are those very financial boundaries.
Lauren Sanchez's ambitious nature and striking on-screen presence opened doors beyond traditional media, granting her access to some of America's wealthiest and most powerful social circles, spaces in which she quickly proved skilled at navigating complex interpersonal and reputational dynamics. Her romantic history also placed her in influential environments. She shares a child with NFL legend Tony Gonzalez and was previously involved with Hollywood power agent Patrick Whitesell, both relationships rooted in worlds where luxury, status, and visibility were the norm. However, it was her high-profile connection with Jeff Bezos, initiated while he was still married to philanthropist and novelist Mackenzie Scott, that thrust her into the global spotlight, making her a subject of both fascination and relentless public scrutiny.
Whether their marriage endures or falls victim to the immense pressures of wealth and public scrutiny, their story provides valuable insight into the complex dynamics of relationships at society's most elite levels. The weeks ahead will determine if this turmoil is simply a challenging phase of adjustment or the start of the unraveling of one of the most high-profile billionaire unions in recent memory.